Hello there. Right, this is Teal6 versus Lusch is about to happen. Should be very soon and should be very exciting. It's a three-person final, but both Lush and Teal have beaten Troller, so it comes down to a best of five between the two of them. Uh, as we can see, Lush beat Fat King, Smilzo, and Marco SD on his pretty incredible run, and Teal's also achieved quite a bit, beating Crap at RBY, Mr. Tim, and GG Fan in his road to the finals. So they've both beaten the three great players on their way there, and we should be starting very soon. This is going to be an awesome series, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, and we begin. Lush has a Gengar lead and Teal has a Jinx, giving Lush the advantage turn one. He goes for the sleep and then rings in a lap press to start piling on the pressure. Will Chansey stay in here with the Ice Beam? Will it Thunder Wave? It Thunder Waves, giving Lush the paralysis on his Chansey and giving him the advantage to go for the freeze here. However, he has Jinx to block that, and he has a Snorlax. He brings in the Snorlax on the Chansey, so Teal is going for the Snorlax pressure and is clearly going to save the sleep for later in the game. But Chansey gets off that paralysis, and whilst Teal has the upper hand right now, Lush has the freedom to switch to his Gengar, or if he predicts an Earthquake, which is possible because he hasn't yet scattered the counter, and because Gengar is there, he can go Exeggutor like that, and now he's free to fire off a Psychic, which would chip at Jinx or at Chansey. However, that won't do very much. So right now, I feel like Teal's doing a better job at being aggressive. Lush gets off the circuit there for a good 30% and is likely to force Teal to switch out next turn. Teal goes for a body slam on Exeggutor rather than safely switching. He goes into Jinx now. He can either stay in and play for a turn trying to wake up, or he can go into his Chansey predicting something to happen, such as a double switch into Tauros or Snorlax. And we see Jinx staying in further. Lush goes for further Psychics, and with Jinx waking up all of a sudden, somewhat threatening. However, Chansey can come in very easily here. And Snorlax doesn't want to switch directly in. So whilst Exeggutor is forced out, Jinx is sort of forced to play for the lovely kiss and lose momentum for Teal. So even though Chansey isn't great for momentum, it forces out this Jinx here, forces him to go into Snorlax or Chansey, and he responds to that by going into his Exeggutor. It's just free to fire off another Psychic. He can go Jinx again, but it's getting worn down very quickly, or he can go Chansey, and he goes for another Psychic until stays in, and the Snorlax is strongly crippled here, and he has a Gengar he could go to absorb a possible self-destruct here, but will he go for it? That Snorlax is not quite in Psychic range, but it feels like the ball's in Lush's court so far. It feels like the Snorlax has been weighted with the Chansey still up, and that gives Lush quite an advantage here, I feel, getting rid of one of Teal's main tools for aggression. And Lush switches in and puts Teal further behind. He's free to go for a Hypnosis here again. It's not quite in range of Nightshade or Thunderbolt. But the Hypnosis is a little risky, but less risky than trying to go for a critical hit or hoping for a miss from Lovely Kiss. So let's see what he goes for. Will he go for Hypnosis and will Teal get lucky? No, instead he goes to Chansey and plays it safely, rather than taking advantage of the speed advantage granted there. And Jinx goes for Rest, which is the biggest Snorlax and Tauros bait imaginable. We question whether he'll instead be forced to go for the Gengar Hypnosis this time around. Or if he'll just stay in and spam Thunderbolt with Chansey, which is also an option. Jinx gets to wake up again here, but then the rest is strongly signaled. So yeah, I feel like Lusch has got the control of this game so far. He's successfully blocking sleep whilst he has the power to get it versus Teal somewhat easily in this matchup. He goes to Gengar here as the Jinx rests, and he's free to Thunderbolt or Nightshade, which is about all that it can do here. Remember that Ghost is physical and has virtually no moves, and it's also ineffective on Psychic, so Gengar's only option is to use its high special to throw off Thunderbolts and then go for a Hypnosis here, or fire off another Thunderbolt. He could keep trying for a crit with this sequence, guaranteeing him sleep on a third, getting rid of Jinx and of Snorlax and getting sleep on a third Pokemon, which would be quite nasty, but he does risk Jinx breaking through that Chansey with Psychic there. However, Jinx is likely to be forced to rest again. Chansey can soft-boiled, which is it likely wants to do so that it can continue the sequence and then it can fire off further Thunderbolts until it critical hits again. So overall, this is a cycle that's favouring Lusch. Let's see if Teal can do anything to escape it, or let's see if Lusch can do anything more intelligent to capitalise on it, or if he'll just stick with what he knows works. Now the teams, so we know likely both teams have a Tauros, Exeggutor, Snorlax and Chansey, which suggests that there's nothing left of surprise on Lush's end, but we don't yet know what the possible sixth is for Teal, and we could have some surprises in store for either of these, but it looks like for now we'll just be playing the game, seeing what damage we can do with this Gengar, this Chansey, and now this Snorlax, which has been which has come in. This Exeggutor, will it go for Sleep Powder here? Will it go for Explosion, trying to pressure the Chansey, which is in range of it? Exeggutor Explosion kills, I think, even at full health. He goes for a Psychic, which gets a special drop, and Chansey is likely forced to recover here, and he gets another special fall, but not a full paralysis. And this does put the ball quite in Teal's court, gives him the chance to go for sleep here. It is very dangerous. And yeah, this Exeggutor is now very threatening with the powerful Psychic as well as the ability to sleep things, but Lusch could go to his own Exeggutor and force a 50-50, or go to his Lapras and force it out, although if it takes a special fall itself, then it can't KO with Blizzard at that range and lets Teal get off a Sleep Powder. So, and furthermore, Chansey doesn't want to switch out that HP in order to be blocking sleep, but it is an option, and he goes for the Sleep Powder, predicting it. An awesome play by Teal, but it flops since Sleep Powder misses. I'm not sure I agree with that play, but it worked. Well, it nearly worked out. It was evidently the right way of thinking. He goes for a Psychic, predicting Chansey to come back in, and Lusch takes the opportunity to go for another Sleep Powder. And Sleep missing everywhere this game, outside of the Hypnosis turn 1, which we saw. So the question is will he go back to Chansey, or will he stay with Exeggutor some more? Will Teal continue to fire off Psychics, preventing Chansey from coming in, or will it fire off Sleep Powder to stop this Exeggutor staying in? It's not quite, it's more of a weighted 50-50, and in comes Jinx, which blocks sleep there, and it wakes up on that turn, but that allows Chansey to get off a soft-boiled. However, Jinx can stay in for a while and fire off Psychics, praying for a special fall, which has a 1 in 3 chance almost in RBY, which is why you're seeing so many in each game. And Yeah, he probably wants to switch out Chansey just to relieve that special fall. And he does, and in comes Snorlax to relieve it, and Exeggutor switches in, predicting that there would be a switch and preventing against Exeggutor from doing damage. So Exeggutor goes for another Psychic, and he decides finally to explode it, deciding that the health of the Exeggutor is worth it. Giving Jinx the capacity to go for sleep here, but making Gengar all the more threatening as well. Gengar is still very threatening, and that's what he goes to. Free to fire off Thunderbolts here. And this Gengar, it gets a nasty critical hit, making a bad situation worse for Teal. This Gengar is incredibly dangerous this match, with that Jinx now in the range of Thunderbolt. Will he Hypnosis here, predicting a switch? Will he Thunderbolt, predicting Jinx to stay in? Will he sacrifice Jinx? Or will he go to Chansey to take the hit and let it take the sleep? Will he try and get Jinx to take the sleep? These are all questions, and we'll see. Arguably, Gengar Mind's Paralysis, but I would definitely not say as much as other Pokemon, so he risks it and he goes for Thunderbolt here. And now he is forced to Hypnosis. Instead, no, he pulls off a second Thunderbolt and gets to the Jinx. Earthquake seems likely here, but it doesn't want hit KO. The Snorlax is already in range of Hyper Beam, so it doesn't want to switch in. But Lapras and Snorlax are both possible switches in, especially since Snorlax will be using a weaker attack since it's not Stab, giving the switched in Pokemon an advantage here in the matchup. We'll see what happens though. Due to Gengar's good special bulk, it can switch in versus Chansey to try and get sleep later on in the match if need be. A switch is almost forced here, but will Teal go for the Earthquake again? We'll see. This Taurus is a little dangerous, but I still feel that Lusch has the advantage. He has 5 Pokemon to 3, and neither side has gotten sleep down, but Teal doesn't have any sleepers remaining alive. So let's see what happens. As I say, I feel Lusch has the advantage. He's 5-3, and if he manages to play well, that'll be easily turned into a 5-2 with the advantage of sleep. But, okay, he sacrifices Gengar, predicting him to go for a Body Slam, expecting a switch. And he goes to Exeggutor on the Chansey switch, a fantastic double switch, turning the game into a 4-2. Free Exeggutor to stay in and fire off Psychics, which nothing presumably wants to switch into, unless that were a Starmie in the back. No, it's a Zapdos, which looks pretty dangerous in this matchup. But the healthy Snorlax gives him some tools to play around it. And he reveals a surprise Jolteon in the back. No Tauros, bizarre, but works incredibly well now, preventing Zapdos from doing any damage and giving that Tauros too much of a hard time with the full Lapras and Snorlax to try and get through. He gets off a Thunder Wave on the Zapdos, and unless it has agility, that means that Lapras is no longer bothered by it either, assuming it hits its blizzards. Lusch is in the driver's seat now. Chansey switches in, and Thunderbolt does a critical hit and does a massive 30%. However, it's not quite in range of double kick there without a crit, and he gets the critical hit, and Chansey goes down even though it gets the first turn wake. Tauros comes in, forcing a switch. Instead, no, he stays in and gets off a Thunder Wave, but the risk of a critical hit there was great. The Jolteon goes down now, and it's time, presumably, to use the 2 explosions from Exeggutor and Snorlax should be sufficient to finish this game, assuming that those are the given sets. Although if it's a different Snorlax, then we may still have a bit of a game on our hands. We shall see. Lapras should come in and Blizzard here, though, or Snorlax. It doesn't really matter. It's cleaning up, but Lusch has evidently won this game, won it convincingly, I feel. Very little luck, especially by RBY standards. It was a very clean game, and that's the first game of the best of 5 series. Lusch 1, Teal nothing. Hope you're enjoying this series. The second game should be anytime soon. Alright, and we're into game 2. Teal has had a slight change of nickname. And we see a Stami vs Alakazam matchup, 2 non-sleepers. So we might see a more paralysis heavy early game. Or we might see sleep gone for immediately, as with the Exeggutor switch there, since Stami is much less happy to take paralysis than Alakazam is. Exeggutor gets the sleep powder off handily, taking early paralysis in a single seismic toss there, which, while still crippling, gives it more than enough HP to do many useful things, such as handling Rodon and Golem and surviving a Tauros Hyper Beam. In comes Snorlax to pressure the sleeping Alakazam, but Chansey comes in, which can withstand the hits easily, and although in the long term this probably goes Snorlax's way, Chansey has the threat of status, and its immunity to Body Slam's paralysis effectively forces out the Snorlax. Chansey comes in to try and pressure Teal. Will we see a surprise sing from Chansey perhaps, or will we see them going for a freeze wall? No, instead we see paralysis gone for on both sides, neither side playing for a freeze here. And Snorlax comes in on one side, but not on the other, giving Teal the advantage here. Especially since he did not go for Thunder Wave. We're likely to see Snorlax switch in here, although the possibility of Golem or Rhydon switching in is also realistic, and we could potentially have seen a counter there. Teal goes for the Body Slam, not scouting for the counter by using Earthquake. Will we see Snorlax come in now, or will we see a counter? What's next? Okay, we see Exeggutor come in, predicting an Earthquake perhaps. Free to fire off a Psychic here. Teal again leaving in Snorlax to get hurt thoroughly by those powerful Psychics that Exeggutor fires off. We don't normally see their power because so many things resist it within the metagame that are usually seen. Versus something such as Snorlax, which doesn't resist it and has low special, even if it has high HP. It does an awful lot. Alakazam comes in, suggesting it's trying to wake up, and that brings in Snorlax, and Teal doubles to Snorlax to prevent any damage from that. In comes, so Snorlax goes for a Reflect there, but Exeggutor comes in. Psychic would do a little more here than Explosion might perhaps, but I'm not really sure. But if Snorlax takes a Psychic here, then it eventually goes down. And he goes for an Explosion, and now Snorlax could follow up for a Revenge Kill, but I'm not entirely sure it's in Body Slam range. Paralyzed Snorlax is the slowest thing ever commonly seen, other than a paralyzed Slowball or something which is paralyzed and then has its speeds further reduced by the peculiar mechanics that RBY has. So it goes to the Exeggutor, which does a measly 35%. Remember that Explosion is only 170 base power in RBY, so even though it cuts the defense in half, it's still not that immensely powerful or broken. So in comes Snorlax, which fires off a Body Slam, which is a good tool to pressure things here, since Chansey doesn't want to be coming in, so it forces in something such as Exeggutor if he wants to preserve the Snorlax, which Teal decides he does. And in comes the Tauros, doubling in on the Chansey, which comes in, arguably going to try and pressure here, but he risks not only a counter but also being paralyzed, but also a counter. Early paralysis comes down, and that Tauros is now crippled. I feel like Lusch has the advantage again. I feel like Lusch is playing a little better. But let's see how this game continues. Stami comes in, likely to draw in the Chansey with a powerful psychic here, slapping Taurus around. In comes Snorlax on the double, predicting a Chansey to come in, but instead comes Snorlax trying to sacrifice it in order to regain momentum, but Snorlax will still be damaging every time it comes in, and Exeggutor is much more easy to switch in. Will it explode? Yes, it does, since it can't do much else than smash up without getting lucky with Psychic. However, that means that no sleep for him, no sleep on either side now, so that means that Alakazam is essentially just fodder unless the endgame gives it an opportunity to wake up. As Snorlax reveals the surprising Amnesia. It's a Body Slam Amnesia set. It may have Reflect, or it may have Ice Beam or Blizzard. Likely it has Rest, but it's possible it could have something else such as Self-Destruct, which is sometimes seen. Amnesia continuing to help it be faster in this matchup as well. And if he goes Reflect, then this Snorlax will be incredibly difficult to take down, and potentially force this Chansey into a PP war. We'll see what happens though. Snorlax's Body Slam PP is probably not enough with Reflect up, but the chances of critical hits at timely points could make it much more deadly, even though there's no PP advantage with Reflect factored in here. Let's see what happens. Furthermore, with it being revealed to be Reflect Chansey, if its PP does end up stalled out, then that means that it, well, as it is, it can do very little to Starmie beyond paralyzing it. And with Taurus already paralyzed, unless that's a Zapdos or other thing that loves Starmie to be paralyzed in the back, then that's very little of a deal. Well, I guess most things love Starmie to be paralyzed. Anyway, so this Amnesia Snorlax causing a storm with that Blizzard measly PP going to bite him here. Although it's his only way of really powering through this Chansey with Reflect up, which will be firing off as many soft boils as it can to withstand further assaults from the Snorlax. With its PP starting to run low on Blizzard already, down to a mere 3, which you would have to hit in sequence in order to get the KO here. And he misses one, meaning that the Snorlax cannot anymore break the Chansey without critical hit Body Slams, and the critical hit Blizzard doing even less than usual due to RBY's critical hit mechanics, and it does reveal Self-Destruct as I hypothesized as possible, although unlikely. And this brings in the Taurus, which misses a horrific Body Slam, but Chansey fully paralyzes, allowing him to not be punished by the horrible piece of luck that just unfolded there. But evidently he decides this Chansey is now worthless, deciding that it's better to keep the sleeping Alakazam in the paralyzed Chansey, and he uses this to bring in the Slowbro, which is now a threat, although since that's lead Starmie, it probably doesn't have Thunderbolt. It's likely Psychic Blizzard and Thunderwave, but if it is Thunderbolt, then that's terrible news for this Slowbro, which would have a large chance of not beating it if it does reveal to be Thunderbolt. But we'll see. If it is Thunderbolt, it reveals Thunderwave, and now if it has Thunderbolt, is the turn to reveal it. And if it does not, then it's down to Melee Storming, and it does have Thunderbolt. That Slowbro is almost completely amnesiaed up. A critical hit, however, will end it doing almost a one-hit KO should it critical hit, but at maximum special, it does very little. However, Starmie has a whoppingly high critical hit rate since that's its base speed of 512, so it's well over 20%. So there's a good chance still for Starmie to withstand this assault, but Slowbro is very threatening very quickly. And in comes Alakazam without the previous the mechanics discovered around late 2014. Oof, it would be less dangerous, but it reveals Surf, which I generally feel is an inferior set. I think this is a Bear's RMT on Smogon that he's using. I prefer a totally different version, which I commented on or not. But anyway, so this army is a lot less threatened with the other special fall, meaning it's even lower chance to hit KO. I don't think it can at all, and since it can't cause a special fall, that makes it much more manageable. However, he just has to fire off thunderbolts to realistically have a chance of breaking this. So long as he can get through this slow bro, then he should be fine. But no, he fails to do it with 6 thunderbolts, which is poor luck, and the slow bro could now win the game, although it is in the range of a critical hit hyper beam. Believe Taurus is in range of a surf at full health, so it may be his only option here. We shall see. A body slam paralysis and full paralysis is also unlikely, as is a blizzard freeze, and I feel like a hyper beam critical hit is his best opportunity here. It's a game of simply maximizing the odds now that Sleepy Alakazam is useless if he does get through it, and that Tauros can also do some sort of damage. Let's see what happens. Will he score a critically hit hyper beam here? So what the game comes down to now that Starmie failed to critical hit over 6 thunderbolts, which is quite unlucky, but this is his last shot at a critical hit. And if he fails to get it, and he gets it, and the game is blown open again, and all of a sudden it's back in Lush's favour. Tauros comes in, it can fire off a blizzard and then go for a hyper beam critical hit, which is normally the best play here. And now, for the next body slam will be in hyper beam range, he has to go for the hyper beam critical hit, and he fully paralyzes twice, giving him no opportunity. And Lush is going to steal the game. And now Tauros should win, and Alakazam wakes up hyper beam KOs there. And that is game 2, and Lush is 2-0. And one more game, and he clean sweeps Teal, and he also clean sweeps Troller, which would be a fantastic victory for Lush should he achieve that. But Teal has 3 potential games, which if he wins all 3 of, gives him would win him the title. However, it's now very much in Lush's favour. Can Teal pull it back? That is the question, or will Lush stomp him over? Find out in a moment. Oh, and the next game is up already. Final game this time, Lush with the Alakazam and Starmie on Teal's end. Will we see Teal head to Executor here? Will we see anything surprising, or will we see a fairly standard opening? Project that it's likely to be a fairly typical opening here. But there's always the room for surprising if he... But yeah, let's see what happens. Will Teal pull it back, or will Lush destroy here? Will Lush roll over him 3-0, or will Teal pull a couple of games back? And he goes for the Thunder Wave on the Starmie. Overall, throughout the series, I feel like Lush has been the better player, although I don't think he's been 3-0 the better player. But we'll see if he manages to pull all 3 games. The Alakazam getting the paralysis on Starmie is pretty big. And I feel like that was a misplay on Teal's end, not going to Executor. And we'll see if Lush's RBY experience pays off here. I'm not sure exactly, but I believe he may have had some help from Bear in the past. I know that he's German as Bear, so that's my logic. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. In comes the Snorlax though. Early game pressure, but chance he can switch in easily here. So it means little. But But yeah, for whatever reason, I feel like Lush has been playing a lot better. Will we see a counter? We're in a Snorlax either. Will we see Reflect? Will we see counter? Or will we see two standard Snorlaxes going at it? And we see a Blizzard preventing against the counter there. We don't see. Oh, pardon me. Chansey switching in yet. Will we see either side self-destruct? We've seen Body Slam and Blizzard. Will that be a set with self-destruct, or like we saw previously on Lush's end? Or will it be a set with rest? Amnesia comes into play, and Snorlax gets up a Reflect, protecting against any possible self-destructing shenanigans. And he goes into Starmie to soak the Blizzards. However, with Snorlax's special boost by Amnesia, it'll be hard for Starmie to break it. And Body Slams are still very effective here for Snorlax to use. Paralysis on Starmie being quite a big deal. Does he have Psychic, which would be the best move to be doing damage here? If it's something like Psychic and Hyper Beam, which although a very rare set, would be the best thing to take down the Snorlax. Or will he go into Chansey, or does he not carry a Chansey, which is possible. We saw a team earlier which didn't have a Tauros, so it's possible that he's not carrying Chansey here, which would put him in a bad state versus the Snorlax, which is doing incredible damage so far. He manages to paralyze the Starmie already, and now going for an Amnesia would allow him to outspeed. He goes for a Body Slam, doing good damage. He doesn't go for another Amnesia, which would make these attacks fall off even more easily. But yeah, at some point, I'm not sure if Lush can handle this. I think he needs to critical hit it, otherwise the Snorlax is a big issue. It's worth noting that also Chansey can't do much damage to it without a critical hit, but it can stall it out somewhat, so it's now in the range of the Snorlax or Tauros Hyper Beam. But the Snorlax has certainly done some good work taking out the Starmie, making good use, especially if it has self-destruct. A 2-for-1 trade here would be phenomenal. Great work by the Snorlax if that's the case. Will he Hyper Beam here? If he doesn't Hyper Beam, the Snorlax gets off even more damage, especially if it has self-destruct. This is a tricky scenario, and he goes into Exeggutor, and Lush makes the ballsy play and goes for a Body Slam instead of a Hyper Beam, and Exeggutor doesn't get the opportunity to get off a sleep powder there. And as Alakazam comes into block sleep, Teal cleverly doubles into Snorlax, which fully paralyzes, quite possibly as it was going to click self-destruct. That's a crucial piece of luck, and the first really crucial piece all series I felt so far. Everything else that happened was quite not especially lucky, I felt. And in comes a Cloyster, which is bizarre. I feel like this might be Dice's team, which is something like Tauros and I don't remember the fourth. And Teal disappointingly forfeits the series, and Lush takes it 3-0. It's a disappointing end, I felt, but that's how it is. And I feel like Lush definitely deserved the victory there. Congratulations, Lush. I'm sure we'll see you again.